Okay, so we've got our primary surface done. Let's move on to get some of the details in. We don't necessarily need this mirror. This was more just a test, so we'll get rid of that. Let's get rid of that one. Okay, so we'll turn this off. Let's get our sketches back on, our actual image. And we'll go to outline work here. So the next thing that we want to do is we want to get this overall centerpiece completed. Now, as you can see, what we've got going on is a few things. We've got the major cutout of the circle, but then we have this half moon, quarter moon something that is an offset. And you can kind of see that there's the ridge line there. On your sketching profiles, you should have seen this or drawn the contour lines. So let's focus on getting this part done, because what we're going to want to do is we'll get this shape in there, and then what we'll need to do is get the handle details. So if I look at this and I want to break it down, I'm going to say we're going to keep all of this as our primary surface. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to want to cut this circle out that you can see going all the way around, circle, ellipse, whatever it may be, and then create this offset, because I'm going to have an opening here. That's going to be a transition surface in here and here. And I'll do a sketch later that kind of shows what I'm talking about. So let us come in here. We'll turn back on our shading. And what we're going to do is let's start off with this sketch. So we're going to go to the front plane. We're going to do a sketch. And I'm going to try to get this as best as I can where the center is. I think we got it pretty close with this plane, but let's just draw something in here to make sure. So we're going to go draw from the bottom there, and we'll go all the way up. Looks pretty good. Let's just drop this down to there, and we'll throw one in to see how we do. So we're going to do a circle. Whoops. Let us get another center line here. We'll do a circle here. Pretty close, pretty close. It may not be a perfect circle, or our center line might be off, or it may actually just be a little bit of an ellipse. So let's see what we can do here. Yeah, I'm going to say our center is just off a little bit here. So let us move it down. So what we can do here is just make a circle the size we think it is. And for now, we're going to say that's good enough. So what you'll want to do later is kind of get that down perfect. So, but if we look at it from a complete front view, that's what we've got. Now, we want to cut out this bottle. So what we're going to do here is we'll extend this surface. We'll just go straight through there. And actually, because that bottle, so this surface here, looked or appeared to be a simple offset for that center piece. So if we look back here and we go to a front view, what I'm thinking is that this surface that we see in here is just an offset of the outside surface. So I'm not sure, but that's what we're going to say it is. So what we're going to do is we want to split this surface so that we have a separate surface in here that we can use. So let us come in here. We're going to go insert. We're going to go curve, and we'll do a split line. And what we're going to do is intersection, because it's going to be this surface and this surface. So we'll take this surface and then we will intersect it with this surface. Let us hide that first extrude. And now you can see we have a separate surface that we can touch and do things with. So what we want to do is get that offset that we had, or that we saw in there. So what we'll do is we will take this surface and we will come to our offset command, offset surface. We're going in the wrong direction, but, and let's go with 0.5. Oops. Let's go with 5, I mean. I'm not sure exactly what that offset is, so we're just going to fudge something in that we think looks good. We want to reverse it so that it's going on the inside. And now that we've got that, we don't actually need this surface or this face. So what we'll do is we'll just come in, we'll delete this face. We don't want to fill or patch. And we'll delete it there. So now you can see that we've got that offset surface. It is identical to this. As I look at this now, it seems to be a little too deep. So let us just go back and we will just knock it down 1 millimeter. Okay, so there we go. So now we've got the start of that offset surface. Let's go back to a front view. We will go back to just an outline drawing. So now if we look at this, we can see, oh, if I look at this, I'm not necessarily happy, because this has, if this is our outside surface, this isn't really the offset that I'm looking for. Actually, it is. It is, because it's a straight offset. So what I want to do is on this surface, I'm going to want to get it trimmed back to this edge. So let's take a look at that. And then I'm also going to want to basically cut out and get this half moon. So let us go in here and we will do a sketch on the front. And what we want to do is we want to have it dead center on this one. So we're going to take this edge, and then what we're going to do is we're going to offset it. We'll reverse it in. And again, like I say, what we're doing is we're going to cut it so we can get this face in there. So let us, whoops. Let us get the 3 millimeters. Hard to see because it's a yellow line, but we're going to say that's good. So next, what we want to do is we want to create this arc here, because all we're going to do is trim back that one section. So let us come in, and what we'll do is a spline. We'll drop it down here. Let us just kind of get the shape that we're looking for. We're going to say that's good. That's what we want. What we want to do next is now trim it so we just have that face, because this whole area here will be built after we get this face, because this edge of this surface you'll see is a surface that we're going to build off of. So with that said, let's trim that up. If I find my trim tool. So we're going to get rid of that edge, that edge, that edge, and that part of the circle there. So now we have just that. Now I don't need to extrude anything. I can just do a project onto that surface. So let's just get back so we can see this properly. Exit out of there. We will take this surface and we're going to do a split edge again. So we're going to go insert, curve, split line, and this is all allowing us to trim back the surfaces so that we have what we want. So now you can see what we've got is that half moon. That's going to be the recessed section. There's a step in there that we have. I'm not sure if it's too much or not, but we'll find out. And this is the area that we're going to want to cut out from our handle. So we're going to come back, delete that face. and delete all this around it, because if you recall, this is the step in that's going to allow us to do that transition. So let's exit out of that. Oops. So now you can start seeing that we've got our primary surface. We got our body, we've got our step back, and then we have the space wherein we will fill in what that handle is going to look like. So we're not necessarily 100% concerned about that yet. We want to go piece by piece. So before we get into here, we want to finish off this surface. Because if I look at this, this is going to be what flows out into this area here. So we need to be able to have this full edge. So what we want to do now is create our spline curve that's from here to here. Now, the thing is, we need to make sure we have a reference geometry so that our spline has something to snap to from a curvature standpoint. So let us go back and build some reference geometry. So we're going to go again to the front plane. We'll do a sketch. And let us take a look at what we're doing here. So my goal is to get a projected curve onto this surface, down here and down here, so that when I draw my lines, I can have that plane proper. Now, what I want to do is I want to start this and I want to have as parallel to that as I can. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just draw a straight line off of that. And then I'm going to draw a straight line down here and have it come off of that angle as best as I can. Because again, I want the surface to flow naturally as it would and stop where it would. I could have it do this, which may work better. It's hard to say. Again, it's one of those things where you want to play with it. So this feels as if the surface would wrap around here and naturally end like that. Same as if you were looking at a clock face and this was 0. Where would that line be for that arm? So let's actually take a look at that. If we were to take this, whoops, and draw a line, let's say from the center. Oops, I exit out of my sketch there. If I was to come up there, where would we be? Okay, that looks pretty good there. How does that end up down here? We're not going to be able to use the same curve, I don't think. To do it, I'm not happy with... Well, maybe we can. Let's see. So what we're going to do is we'll delete this. We'll delete this. Let us snap to that point. And then what we're going to do is take this, snap it to this point. So this may make it easier because then I can use one plane. But I need to still create that line on this surface so I have a reference point. So what I'm going to do is just create a quick center line here. Quick center line down here. And then what I can do is just use my trim extend tool. And what that'll do is you can see it automatically extends the line up to the next intersecting point. So we'll do that from there. We'll do that from there. Okay, so now we've got that. We know that when we draw our curve, we're going to snap it to that point to there. But we want to use guideline references. We don't want to come off of here. So we're going to do a split line all the way across. So let us exit out. We're going to come in and we're going to go again, insert, curve, split line, projection. We're going to project this curve onto this face and this face. Oh, okay, because I can't do it onto two curves or two surfaces. So what we'll do is we'll just come back. We'll use that again, and we'll go insert, curve, split line, and we'll just do it onto that face. Oh, okay, something I forgot. is that I have to have that, in order to do the split line, it has to go all the way across the surface. So easy enough. We'll drag that up there, we'll drag that up there. We'll do this, and now you can see it updated. So what I want to do now is have something that I can attach, or a plane that I can draw on to get my spline from there to there. I could do a 3D curve, but as you all know, I do not like that. So I'm going to use that exact same curve. I can use a sketch for multiple things. And then what we're going to do is we'll do an extrude. Now, I could have used this to do my split line as well, but neither here nor there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a sketch. We'll do it on that face. I want to hide that just so I can see. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in, and I could do a couple things. I could simply draw a line from there to there, and I'll just show you. Line from there to there. And then do a boundary surface using that, where I will go from this edge down to this edge, and we would use this guide curve and this guide curve. Now, I've got that modeled in. If I want to get the round in there, then I would need to put a radius in later. A little bit harder to get that curvature continuous if you want that radius or that transition. So it really comes down to a matter of what your design wants. So one of the things is, as I mentioned before, I can do a spline as a straight line, and if I want to go back and adjust it later, it gives me that freedom. So let us just go back. We're going to delete this out for this sake. We're going to edit the sketch. And for the purpose of this, we are going to drop in the splines. Okay, so let's do that. What we're going to do is come in here with the spline. We'll snap it to that point. It's okay. I don't have to redraw it. We'll snap it to there. Now, part of the reason I wanted this split line on here is because if I want this curve to have tangency or curvature to this face, I need a line for it to go along. So let's just go in, we'll dump in curvature, and now you can kind of see that it's a nice smooth transition. We start getting a radius. Let's come down here, we'll do the same thing. Now you can see that what we've got is that smooth radius transition going through there. We can then later on adjust the depth of this curve that we want, greater or less. So, oops, I have to do the other one at the bottom too. So let's come down here. Back in the day when you were doing alias, you wanted the curves to start and end in the same direction as when you're sweeping them. I'm not sure if that matters here for SolidWorks or not. We're not going to worry about it. So there we've got that. And theoretically, because these are the exact same distances and offsets, then we should be good from a standpoint of the curves almost being identical. So what we're going to do now is do that boundary surface again. So we're going to go, let me just come in. We're going to go from there. Because I've got two curves on the same sketch, I have to select the one curve, accept it, and then come back down here, select on this, and accept it. Now, no surface for it to connect to, so I can't really do curvature or tangency. I'm selecting these curves because I want the surface to go around that way. So now we'll select this line, and we know that we were going to want that to be curvature to face. And then we'll select this line in here. We'll make that curvature to face as well. We will hit accept. So now we've got that in there. What I'm also noticing is Let me just go to a front view here. Nope, I've got exactly what I want. That's deleted. So let me do a quick test here, because again, we always want to make sure that we're checking things. So we're going to stitch this, this, and this. We see that we have our dashed lines, which represents curve or tangency. Let us just do a quick deviation analysis to make sure that there are no edges or angles. As you can see, ideally what we want is blue, blue, blue. We have a bit of an issue down here. It is 0.62, so that is something that I would want to correct, primarily because I don't like to have that much. 0.02 is nice, but 0.62 is a little much. So I'm not sure what we've got going on in there. Let us delete that, or let us go back. Let us take a quick look. We'll turn off zebra stripes. So that looks good. We'll do curvature combs here just quickly, which is pretty much useless because there's so much out there. So I mean, it kind of looks good, so there might be a problem with our curves. So let's go back, we'll take a look at the curves. I did do curvature to here, so let us take a look and see if we'll just use tangency. Oh, and you saw that I can delete my relationships in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to not make that as drastic. Let's just stitch it together. We're just going to stitch the one. Okay, so you can see I've improved it over here, but it's still kind of rough in there. Not sure what's going on. Let's just check our zebra stripes here to see what that looks like. Oops. I think that still has zebra stripes turned on in there, which is going to make it look confusing. Okay, so for this, we're going to move on. I'll figure that out later. There's something going on that I don't like, but I'm not quite sure. Let's just go to a quick front view, and it may be that I should have come off of here. But anyways, these are the things that we would tweak. So let's go back. We'll properly knit the surface here. We'll delete that. We've got that all knitted. So there you can kind of see that we've got the start of our bottle. We've broken it out into a couple different ways. So now it's kind of a matter of evaluate. So one of the things I'm looking at as I look at this model and I look at this, I don't like how sharp of a corner that is. It just feels too steep, too deep. So let us go back and we're going to kind of take a look and see what we can do to fix that. Now, it feels as if this offset that we did wasn't great enough. So this is where what we want to do is come back and take a look at how we can update things. So if we come back and we have the split line there, we did our surface offset, we deleted it, we then created another split line which was there. So let's come back and edit this. So it feels as if that's not enough of an offset or a great enough circle. So what we're going to do is we're just going to delete that. And we'll come back and we'll offset this even more so than we did. So let's go with 5. Let's go with 6. We'll come back and we will trim this up again. Okay, let's go back, see if it'll delete the faces for us. Okay. Scroll down. We've got our lines going through. Although because we changed it, it's not going down through this point here, so we'll want to adjust that. Okay. Exit out of there. We'll come down here, we'll do our boundary surface. It does not like it, and that's because we've probably broken our sketches. So let's come back. You can see that none of this is connected. So we're just going to actually delete that. We'll come in and redraw it. We'll go with curvature. You know what? We're going to go with tangency, and then we'll force it into curvature with the tool. So let's come down here. We'll do that. Okay. Now what this is going to do is it's going to allow us to have a smoother, more controlled transition. If I want to get that tighter radius, I can. That's not an issue. So it's almost one of those things where it's good to overbuild. And you can't be afraid to just go back a few steps and say, I want to do that over again. So this is going to be a considerably smoother surface. It may actually give us, oh, we got a problem with our sketch. Shows that there's a gap somewhere when we go to update. It's just, so somehow you can see that I got that off. So what we need to do is we need to go back to this. We'll edit that. We're going to take this, go to this point here. We'll make it coincident. Okay, looks like it is there. Okay, let's try this again. We'll clear up all our sections. And again, direction here. Direction there. Whoops. Okay. Toss that curve in. Toss that curve in. We will make this curvature. Okay, so now we're getting that on the way that we want it. Now we may need to go in and tighten this up a little bit more. We may have actually made this outside circle a bit too big, but again, we can always go back and tweak that. I can see that that circle's wrapping around this face a little too much, so I would probably want to go back and make that a little bit smaller. Let's see, File, Save As, and we'll just call it A. But this would be the end of this step. The next step would be to start building in the form for the handle that you're going to hold. Now, let's just see what happens if we can go back and adjust that curve right off the bat. I'm just more curious than anything. So again, we've done our extrude. We created our primary baseline. We extruded a surface. This is the one that we might want to make a little bit smaller. So let's just see what happens when we do this. It would be good if we just had an exact size, but that's okay. So we're going to go 141, and then we're going to change to 130, 135. I think that might be too much. No, let's go with 138. Let's just hit OK. And I'm just curious to see how well this updates. Yeah, updated pretty good. So let's hide that. And now I'm happy with what we got. So we've moved this in a little bit more. It is still pretty smooth. I may want to add another curve over here because I feel as if it's losing the shape that I want. Or I can try to adjust these splines. So if we come in here and if we just extend this out a little bit to get it a little bit tighter. Oh, let's undo that. So we'd want to play with that, get that a little bit tighter. I'm not sure. Let us just take a quick look, see if we actually fixed this at all. Now, better, 0.2, but I would still want to play with that and figure that out. I think that has to do with the angles that I'm coming off of. So this is the next step that I would take in building this, with the final body step being to knock in this handle, as well as then I would move on to the top component, and then I would toss in the bottom component.